thanks for dealing with our technical difficulties. I think we've got it all sorted out now. I think we're live.
Well, thanks for tuning in. If you're joining us, great. If you're catching this on a replay later, amazing. We're happy you're here. This is the Game with No Rules podcast, and this is our first one, so we're kind of kicking it off. We'll see how it all goes. That's my kind of like intro. I don't know if you would like to say anything to kick off this new podcast we're gonna do.
Yeah, absolutely. So super happy to be on here and see people joining in, which is awesome. Really wanted to, we did some podcasting about a year ago, maybe a little less than that, and really enjoyed just the format, the weekly conversation, and getting a chance to talk to some people doing some awesome stuff, and really wanted to bring it back. So this is us kicking it off. It's me and Alexander today. We might have Holly joining on in a little bit too. You know, we decided the first one with just the team so that all of these obstacles, challenges, little hurdles, hiccups, etc., we would deal with. And then once we've sorted all this out for the first episode, we'll start bringing on some guests so they get a better experience. But you can expect some lively conversation, a little bit of chaos, and some great insights into what people are doing differently, the game, the rules they're setting for their own game they're playing, the business they're running, and having us help dive in to just see what they're doing differently than others that's working, and how we could take that and share it with everybody to see if that might be something that works in others' businesses as well.
Yeah. And to kick things off, it won't be this chaotic every time, but I feel like to get everybody in the right headspace, it will. Like, who are we kidding? Yeah. To get everyone in the right headspace, we need to start with like kind of a fun, I don't want to say icebreaker, but like we have random questions that both of us love asking people when we meet them for the first time, just because it's better than like, oh, how are you? What do you do? Like, you get better answers. So this one has been a great debate all summer. And because we had someone reach out to us specifically and say that they would love to listen to us even talk about toast, we are going to put this out there. And this is all new to Jordan because I ran nothing by him before.
Which is
a question for our lovely listeners before we get into business. So when you make, and I'm assuming you enjoy like a toast with a spread situation, like a peanut butter or a honey or jam or whatever. Are you the type of person who makes their toast going, and then if you put on, let's say, peanut butter, do you just like and it's done? Or do you go edge to edge and make sure there's full coverage? Because this has been a hot debate in our various households, and we get weirdly passionate about this. But if you want to take a moment to think about it, if you want to share with us, amazing. We'd love to hear from anybody else who's a little bit intense and funny about this. But that's why I wanted Holly on here, because I feel like she needs to defend herself.
Yes.
We will.
Yeah, we come from the same team. Would you like to describe our process? You want me to? I feel like we should let everyone know, what one of the available answers is.
So I did give two. If you have like secret door option number 3 and you do it completely differently, I would love nothing more to hear about that. So Jordan and I, without realizing it, do our toast the same way, where we meticulously scrape edge to edge. There is no exposed toast that does not have peanut butter on it. It's all even right to the edge. And both of our spouses do not prescribe to that, because they're just like, no, it's just like you just go on and it's good, because it's faster. But Jordan, have you ever timed yourself?
I did time myself because I was told it took 15 minutes to do our process, and I took offense to that. So I timed myself. I'd say I did it fairly an average speed, maybe a little bit slower than I could have gone. And I clocked it at like 52 seconds. So I feel like I've debunked the it takes too long theory. And now we are on to the what else you got.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that both of our spouses agree that toast tastes better when we make it, because of this reason that we're meticulous and intense about it. But otherwise, we're pretty carefree individuals. It's just literally toast is the one thing. So this one goes out to Martina.
Things.
Hopefully we delivered on that topic.
It'll come back, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, okay. So just to kind of get into like the meat and potatoes of this podcast and what it's kind of about. So when we did the Do It Differently conference, which was back in June, it was literally like the best time.
Crazy.
Just think of like a huge party for a bunch of millennials who just have a blast and learn a bunch of stuff. And it's great. There's like Lego and good speaking things and different kinds of sessions and stuff. It was a blast. And Jordan's session was the game with no rules. So I wanted to see if you wanted to kind of chat a little bit about what that session was and how it kind of relates to this podcast. I'm gonna get into that a little
Absolutely.
bit.
We've been at this for almost 3 years now. It's gonna be 3 years in September that Evergreen Growth Collective has been a thing. And what I really realized over the time of doing it, talking to so many entrepreneurs and founders, is that there is no one way to run a business. There's no proper, correct way, universal way. And I think a lot of founders and entrepreneurs get stuck on this or get caught up in they're doing over there, they're doing something and it looks like it's working. Therefore, I should do it too. Or their goals are to get big and have lots of team size and money coming in and IPO, all of these things that someone might care about, but aren't necessarily true for each individual owner. And the more I talk to people, the more I realize that like not everyone, I guess, really has internalized the fact that they can set their own goals, they can make their own rules. And a lot of the things that we've been told are suggestions. They're ways you can run a business. They are options that do work for some people, but they aren't the only way. And so what I wanted to explore with Begin With No Rules, or along with the session, was, what matters most to each individual person, to each individual founder and entrepreneur.
What
That
was
was
the
my
projectile? Like, was it?
that was me silencing the crowd over here who's chitter chattering. It was an empty little dog bag thing. Guys,
You had a good arm on that. Sorry,
but really what it came down to is that there's so many different ways to do it. And I think if people take the time to understand what matters most to them, what rules really they want to use in their business to measure success, to make decisions, it really comes down to deciding those things first. And then you can determine what you should do, what will work for the way you want to build your business and the way you want it to run. And until you do that, it's really hard to decide which processes to use, which systems to subscribe to. And so I really wanted to make it a point of you can break the rules because we're all playing a game with none. There are no rules. There are some that like, you have to file your taxes. You have to make money. There's some fundamentals that, yes, you do have to accomplish, but a large majority of the rules we hold ourselves to or the constraints we set our business towards, we've inherited. We've just assumed we need to have. And by questioning them, by really asking if they are our rules or somebody else's that we are following, we can find what actually works for us. And a lot of times what works for other people isn't going to work for us, but we won't know until we experiment and find what parts we like, which parts we don't. And so I thought we could extend this thinking past just, one session at an event into interviewing so many people I've met that are doing things differently, that are creating their own rules, that are figuring it out, what matters most to them, and finding success in small steps, one at a time. It's never going to be one big thing, one big splashy, I'm now successful. It's a whole bunch of little changes you make, bunch of little systems you put in, experiments you run till you find what works for you and build the business that you want to be running.
Nice. That's pretty impressive for just off the cuff.
That's I'm at my best when I'm off the cuff. Pre-planned.
You've talked about this before or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I may have a thought or two about it.
Yeah, maybe just like a normal amount. So in that vein, I know a lot of the work that we do with our clients is kind of around this, I don't want to say methodology, that sounds very like pretentious, but this way of thinking. And I'm just kind of curious, like, how have you seen that like mental shift impact clients? Like once you start asking those questions that get kind of to the nitty gritty of what they actually want from their business instead of what they think it's supposed to look like.
I think a lot of times when we actually have that breakthrough, it happens at the first time we make a decision that is totally based on what matters to them. Or a time when we break down a problem that they're currently facing where they have to make a decision. And to make the decision, we need to dive into, what actually matters most. And sometimes that takes the form of, asking some difficult questions of, if we change some variables in the situation. We ask, what would you do if, money wasn't a concern? What would you do if you didn't need this client? What would you do if um, you had a full pipeline of people who were really great fits? And sometimes asking those questions, while it isn't, reality in the way that it is today, it helps them see how they would make decisions uh, or experiment with ways to solve problems if they truly could do it the way they want to do it versus the way they're expected to or the way they always have. And the first time we help them come to a decision or a next set of steps or an action plan that is in line with what matters most to them or how they want to accomplish things, you can see it just so naturally. Um, it's easier for them to accomplish because they're not trying to follow some guide that someone else created. They're just doing things the way that they would do them. And we've worked through the consequences, both positive and negative, of doing it that way. And it turns out a lot of times the negative consequences aren't that bad, or they're totally non-existent. We just thought there would be. We thought there'd be a bigger punishment for not doing it the way we were supposed to. When a lot of times it's actually pretty minimal, and the upside is so much bigger in having it aligned with the way you want your business to run and the way you want to measure success. So I love seeing it when it happens, when they really realize like, oh, I can do this a different way, and it's not all gonna, you know, burn up in flames. I'm going to just try this way and see what I like, and if I hate it, I can go back, and if I love it, I can double down. And that's the beauty. I find when we can make that mindset shift of it's okay to experiment. It's okay to try things. It's okay to throw things out. That's not failure. That's learning. The only failure is if you don't do anything with the learning. And if you just keep doing it the same way over and over and over again, expecting different results. That that
Yeah.
is that is really the only thing that we watch for. Otherwise, it's how do we help them find more of what works for them?
Thanks. I also I was thinking about how, kind of questions I wanted to ask and just to kind of have a little bit of structure for this because we've discovered I am more of a structured human being. Jordan is more, we go with the vibe, and I'm
Hmm.
not that, which is a good balance to have on your team.
That's why both
Um,
of us are here. You need a little bit of both.
yes, both makes it work. So I was kind of thinking, and even if you aren't someone who owns a business, or something like that, I am part of Evergreen Growth. I am not the person who founded it and created it. As much as I care deeply about it. But if you're just someone who's doing the work and everything else, there are so many rules that you put on yourself as an employee or just someone who's working or whatever. And I'm curious if I have an example, but if there's a rule that you had all throughout your career that you were like, okay, I have to do this, and then you realized it was not actually what you wanted or you enjoyed. Um, so I'm curious if there's a rule in there.
Oh, there's so many. There's so many rules that I've wrestled with for years and decades sometimes. I think that the biggest one that took me a long time to realize is that my natural ability is around diagnosing, translating, understanding, helping people see things from different perspectives, um, trying to find the what everyone is actually saying. That's usually the same thing, just with different words or different things that they're really focused on. And you know, I always knew that that was a strength, but I always gave myself too hard of a time for not being the best at the action and follow through once we had a solution determined. I was really good at coming up with understanding the problem, with understanding what mattered most in whatever solution we chose. I was really good at coming up with how we should solve the problem, but not always great at the follow through and execution. And I gave myself a hard time forever, still do. And it's still something I work on getting better at because I still feel like I should be better at it.
Yeah.
But I'm at my best when I don't subscribe to that rule and I give myself the freedom to work with people like you, like Holly, like some of the contractors that we work with and partners that are much, 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 much better at the follow through and execution of the plan. And I can say in my zone of genius, working on what if anything should we be focused on? Where should our energy be going? What should we be doing? What's worth working on at all in the first place? And that's become such a big strength is that when I can play in that area, I can I can help things go better on a global level. Yes, I'm not as productive day to day on to-dos and tasks and things like that are uh, revolve around the doing of the plan, but that's okay because I've started surrounding myself with people who are really great at that and struggle a bit more with maybe the what should we even work on in the first place, or how should we attack that problem, and that's what I get up for in the morning. But that rule, like I said, I still struggle with it. There's days where I look at my to-do list and I'm like, "Ah, I should be better at doing all these things. I should be better at, managing my
Good.
actions, my schedule, my all of these things." And it doesn't mean I'm not going to work on getting better at it. It just means that I've recognized that today my strongest suit, the place I'm best at, is the diagnostic, the upfront, the understanding, the mapping, the creating. And it's okay if I lean on others who are better at the other part while I work on getting better at it. That's totally acceptable. And in fact, lets most things I do run better now that I've accepted that instead of trying to fight it so hard.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you? What's your example?
So mine, I feel like this conversation is happening more and more, and it makes me very happy to hear it. But as somebody who grew up in the 90s, there was very much a success looks like getting a promotion
Uh,
and moving up. Like success
yes.
is, okay, you're moving to this position, you have this title, and then it's what's the next one? Like it was this constant like stepping, like you have to, you know, expand your horizons, and you have to like get to this crazy good role, and that's what success looks like. And every time I have gotten a promotion where I've had like a team reporting to me or something like that, and it meant that I didn't get to do the parts that I loved doing, I was miserable. Like I know that you kind of talked about this too with like a past role, but like the parts that feel like success to me are the parts where I get to hear from a client that like, oh, like this is so good, or I'm so happy I got this, or this made me think about this, or this got off my plate because of X that we did. That feels like success. So every time I was promoted to a position where I suddenly didn't get to have that relationship with either coworkers that I was supporting or like clients or whatever, I ended up miserable. And then I'd want to leave because I'm like, well, I don't get to like fix any of the problems that I enjoy fixing, or I don't get to work with people and see that like weight come off their
Yeah.
shoulders. So for me, I'm someone where like chasing a promotion or chasing a title, it was legitimately just like slow murder of my soul. And I think
Yeah.
more and more people now are having that where that's not as important. Like if someone offered me, if I wasn't in this role, to be very
Uh-oh.
no, but like if I was in a different company or something, I was doing something I love, like now I'm in a position where I feel like I would feel more comfortable being like, you know what, I appreciate that you think I'd be a good fit for this, but I'm very happy where I am. And
Yeah.
like, it's as long as I'm still being challenged and I get to like push myself a bit, that is the biggest part for me. But having a specific title, I don't know if I can swear on here, but like, I don't give a shit
Oh,
about
yeah.
that. So, um,
Let them fly.
yeah, that's kind of the rule that it's taken me a long time to be okay with
Hmm.
that and to be like, yeah, it's fine if I don't want, you know, this title or this job or whatever. Like
Yeah.
there's no shame in that. I just know what makes me happy, and it's okay to value that more than having like a headline thing. But yeah.
Totally. One of the things I was most proud of doing at Bold was working with Mark St. Goddard and Devin Mitten on a like how we work. So I was our head of product management, which is essentially your business minded person who also speaks technical, design, development, etc. And the product person would help figure out what we build. So pretty good fit. The design person would figure out how we build it, or what it should look like, how it should feel, how it should work. And then the developer lead would come up with like the technical implementation. So how do we make all that actually happen and not crash and not be a giant tire fire of code? Um, and while working through that, of how do we merge these three disciplines together, these three groups together, we also came up with the idea that there shouldn't be one track for promotion or for getting better to the next step. And I tell this story to lots of people who are in this situation in the business, so I think it's relevant to tell here. Um, there's an unwritten rule in a lot of business that as you go higher up, you earn more money. Management is the path, right? You become a manager at some point, And that's how you get more money and then get the bigger title and get, more
Yes.
important, whatever you want to see it as. And we thought that was silly because there were many people on our teams that were amazing, incredible talent, so good at what they did, writing code, finding the architecture that would work for how to develop it, designers that could like interview and understand customers and the journey and really map together a thoughtful experience, product managers who were fantastic in the weeds, solving problems, troubleshooting, overcoming obstacles. And then we'd make them a manager. And we'd say, hey, all the skills you developed being awesome at the thing, you kind of need them to coach and mentor, but you actually need all these new skills of soft skills, empathy, understanding people, leadership, recognizing successes, helping support when they're challenged and feeling behind, um, emotional intelligence. And like, not everyone has those things as natural gifts. Some people do, and they make fantastic managers who are also great at the craft. But there's other people who are great at the craft and don't want to manage people. And so what we did was, originally we started just management track was the way you got promoted. But then we said, what if we tried something different? What if we tried a different rule where you can go the management path if that's what you truly love and you want to develop those skills, but you can also go the individual contributor route where you don't have to manage people to get better. You can just become better at what you do. You can work on harder problems. You can architect our most challenging technical solutions. And that is equally valuable as the person who can manage a team of 3, manage a department, manage a set of departments. Like, they're not better or worse skills, they're different. And so what we did was we made levels. So a level 1, 2, and 3 after you got the senior. So you had like junior, intermediate, senior of whatever role. And then it branched. You go level 1, level 2, level 3, either management or individual contributor. And they were paid the same. They were viewed as an equal level across the organization. And it helped us put people where they were at their best. And when we did that, like I still, to this day, I think that was one of the smartest things we decided to do. We made a lot of poor choices as well. Don't get me wrong. We're not geniuses. But I do feel like we did made that one, and I'm really proud of it, where we broke that rule and we said, no more taking really smart, talented people who are great at the craft and telling them to throw it all away and become people managers. Instead, we're going to support them in becoming even better at their technical craft. And the results, I think, really spoke for themselves.
Yeah. That makes me think of this is another I'm gonna call it a rule. I don't
Yeah,
know if that's the right word, but being good at
they're everywhere.
something does not necessarily mean that it's what you want to do. Like as someone who is a forever good at a lot of things, but I enjoy maybe 50% of them. Um, so often I get oh my
Feel
gosh,
you
you're so
there.
good at this. Like you should do this. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like I'm good at it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't enjoy it. And I think that that mentality and realizing that like just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to go and do it. Or like I have heard many times like, oh, you're so good with people, like you're great with your teams, they like you. I'm like, yeah, I love working with teams. And I love that like anytime I've been in the position of having a team that's reported to me, I love the fact that we have like a strong relationship and they feel comfortable coming to me and I can support them and I understand how they all work and like what kind of feedback is beneficial and like I know all of that stuff. It is exhausting to me because I put so much effort into it. It's like you have to flick the switch and be more intentional and it's fun because I love working with people and having those relationships, but it's not what I love doing. I'm just good at it. So it's
Yeah.
like as soon as you're okay taking a step back and being like, do I actually really want to do this? Or is this just something that I'm good at and now I feel like I have to? Like
Yeah.
it's interesting to kind of step away
Well,
from that.
you recently wrote one of our emails, and again, I wrote a post about this, but I love the way we do our emails. That we talk through ideas, we see stuff with clients, we get the ideas are sourced from our interactions with our clients and our methodologies and mindsets. But I'm not a great writer. I'm an okay writer. I'd say like not terrible, good, but I don't love doing it. I'm not the best at it, and you are fantastic at it. And
Oh,
so
thanks.
that's one switch we did that was just like so smart, right? Use your talents, use my talents where they're best, not try to do it all each individually. Um, but the real part of that was like the email you wrote about joy not being a reward. Like that is such an important thing when finding out what you want to be doing. To your point of like some people are great at things but don't enjoy doing them. There's a lot of stuff that I can do and that people I know who can do some really great things to a high level of like really good high quality work, but it drains them. It fully just sucks the life out of them. I recently told someone like I can do some project management for a short period of time, but I will die if that becomes my full time job. Like I will literally perish because I can't sustain it.
I
It just
love it.
it drains the life out of me, right? And exactly, and some people love it. So to me, it's more than just like where are your skills. Your skills are one part of the equation, but what brings you joy and what do you love doing, learning about, getting better at? Those are the things that will really make you successful over the long term. And by identifying those things and not treating it as like a one day I might get to, and instead this is what I'm going to design my business around for me, is to have me doing what I'm best at most of the time. It makes every hour you put in, especially as a founder, like the highest leverage hours you can put in versus doing work that someone else could do that you actually hate doing and aren't that good at. Like that's one of the most expensive things you can do to your business as a founder is putting yourself in a zone of where you're not having the joy in the work and it's not something that you're excellent at. You're just better off trying to find ways to get that off your plate so you can focus on the things that truly bring you joy and engagement and that you do at a super high quality level.
Because I have very much carte blanche when it comes to our newsletters. So I'm just kind of like, you know what? This is in my brain. Or we talked about this when you and I were having a conversation or when we were texting or like during a hangout or something. I don't know. But I just like the joy one, that one, I could not shake it out of my brain because like, again, I'm definitely that person that was like, okay, like I would burn myself out like every single job. I would just go until I couldn't go. I was the person who was like, oh, like we need someone to do this. Alexander can crush it. And I'd be like, yeah, Alexander can crush it. And then I would just take it on and do it and just burn myself into a little pile of ash. And I'd be like, when I'm done this, then I can relax and then I'll be happy and all of that. And no, that's a garbage way of thinking. And no offense to anybody who thinks that, but like it does so much damage and you don't realize it because it's such an invisible toll that it takes. And so when you start treating joy as information, like we were working with a client and one of the things I get the most passionate about is training. Like I absolutely love training and I get so fired up about it because for a long time, I think there's this mentality that's like, okay, well, we'll just like make a manual and that's it. But I'm like, but people learn differently. So like
Absolutely.
someone may take the information better if you're delivering it to them in like a session. Or maybe video that they can watch and rewatch is best, or they need a manual with written instruction or screenshots or whatever it is. Like people learn differently. I don't learn the same way you do. So why am I delivering my training materials in a way that's suited for one person who maybe has like, maybe that group is historically been like the loudest or people are just told, okay, this is what we have. You have to figure it out from here. But I just like, working on stuff like that makes me so happy. And we had a client that I got to do a big project for them. And I literally had so much fun. I was like kind of sad when it was done. I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to like, just wait. And then maybe we can do more on this project. Cause I'm like, I can see more, but I also realize that I am too excitable about that topic. So I'm like, we'll just simmer a little bit and wait. And then if you get the opportunity, unleash the joy again and go do more on it. But
you heard it here first. If you need training documentation that doesn't suck, we have someone who loves it. Yes,
I will. I will lovingly nerd out and all the things.
Well, that you spoke to it there. Different rules. Just quickly, like people do learn different ways, and that is a different rule. Like that's what I want to get across to this podcast. Really, is that there's so many ways that like people are complex, and taking the time to understand yourself, your team, people you work with, and what brings them joy, what they're great at, how to distribute the work so that it can be done at its best, the systems you use, like those are all rules you're putting into the business unintentionally sometimes, and sometimes invisibly. You don't even know you're doing it. You're just creating these rules because that's the way it's been done. It's the way you should do it. If you ever say should, that's flag number one. Should, because why? Should for who? Exactly. It usually is. Or like because that's the way people think you should do it, or that should be your goal because it's their goal. And so that's what I'm really hoping to do with this podcast is just like, how can we make sure the work that we do follows the rules that we care about, that matter to us and our team, that we're providing things in ways that people can actually um, take in, learn, use in the way that works for them. That might not be the same as the way that works for us. And as we start getting guests on here too, like listening to in their world, in their words, what they're doing to break some of the old rules, to define some new ones, to do things their own way, not just to be different, not just because I want to, but because it works better for them and they have the results and they know that it does. That's what I really want to get to, just to show people that there are so many ways to be successful, especially when you get to define success yourself. That's one of the biggest beauties of entrepreneurship. No one else can tell you what successful is anymore. You get to.
Yeah. I feel like that's a good kind of, I'm looking at our time. I realize we've already been
I know,
yapping
we could
for
go forever.
half an hour. So every time we do one of these, what I would like to get in the habit of doing, just with this concept of joy, what's one thing that happened this week or that you did this week that brought you genuine joy? It doesn't have to be a business thing. It can be life. Just one thing that like genuinely made you feel joyful. Oh no, folks, he's already laughing.
I always have a
Banger.
perfect one for these of like, there's so many random things I do during the week that bring me joy. They're usually little. But this week I felt really good about this one. So my son and I, Milo, have been talking for the last little while about how cool it would be if we could talk with nature. Like if we just understood how to speak with everything, animals, like just understood what was happening in nature. So I did a little work, did a little research, and came up with a plan of how to do like a little daily 5 to 10 minute exercise of how you can watch and listen and understand, observe nature, and a couple little longer adventures. And we're going to start doing some this weekend. And I'm really excited. And I've already started picking up on a few things like the way that the birds are chirping can sometimes tell you if it's going to rain soon, if there's something to be alert to. It's kind of wild when you start actually slowing down to listen to it. And it's helping me practice my like slowing down, observing, listening, not trying to solve, just being and taking in. And it's bringing me a ton of joy. And now I get to include my son in it, and my daughter's starting to ask some questions, Ruby. So we might have a whole family adventure going soon. We'll see.
Well,
Okay, how about
that's
you though? Because
lovely.
I feel like
Wonderful.
yes, I'm very excited, and I'll have results to share soon. I'm sure.
Maybe next week we'll get an update on
Yes,
how
fluent.
I'm thinking from a D&D perspective. I'm like, because we have a small campaign that has been paused for a year, but Jordan played a druid in it, which should shock no one. And one of the first things he tried to do was commune with like a horse for 30 minutes in our first session. So it's very on brand for me because his
It's a
follow-up
great
question
horse.
was like, can I talk and get information? I'm like, no, Jordan, not yet. Like, anyways.
Yeah, I take all the most random skills because I'm like, how could I use this not good skill to do something fun?
Complete
Anyway,
mayhem.
your joy. What did you do this week?
So mine is not well, I guess it's something I did, but so I got a little letter from my favorite little pen pal.
Oh,
And it was literally the cutest. And it just brought me so much joy. And it was like an invite to come to their house and eat pancakes and craft and do arts and stuff. And it just brought me so much joy because the invite was for Blair and I. So it's like very prestigious. And I feel very honored to have gotten it. But I responded this morning and I took like a little bit of extra time to like make the envelope fancy and drop it off and did like a little wax seal. And it was just a very slow, lovely process. But it brought me an obscene amount of joy because I was having kind of a like
as it should,
like start of my week. Like I was just kind of grumpy and like, and then I got this little card that had like a sweet little fox on it that was glittery and just the best. So that's my joy.
Amazing. If you have anything, people listening now later, just drop it in the comments.
We're going to try and do this every week. So it'll be probably a combination of our team. Jordan will be here every week. And then we've got a couple of guests that we're hopefully going to bring on the next little while. So if you enjoyed today, amazing. We're so happy you could join us. And thank you for dealing with our technical difficulties as the platform that we use just got a huge update. And that was a surprise that we were not expecting. So thank you for being patient.
Yes,
and hopefully we'll have this up in a couple of weeks so anyone who missed it can catch up on the recording. But I think that's about it. That's everything I have for housekeeping.
Yeah.
Keep breaking the rules, people.
And if you know any good rule breakers, we'd love to meet them. So feel free to send intros, or if you'd like to come on the podcast as a guest, you think you have something cool to talk about, we'd love to hear it. The more the merrier. We will find time for as many people as we can. We just love to hear what kind of success you're having, or people you know who are doing cool things, so we can share them with the rest of the world.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a lovely weekend, everybody, and enjoy and find your joy and all that good stuff.
Okay. See you later.